In today's video, I'm going to do another unboxing, although we've done the formal unboxing in a previous video, but we're going to open up the Abxylute and we're going to set it up. So, as you know, I've already opened this box. And if you've not seen that video, go watch that other video. But inside the box you get your charging cable at the side here, you get a little instruction guide, and you get your Abxylute in its case. Now, Abxylute have very much copied what Steam have done with the Steam Deck by using the case as the packaging material, and I think that's a brilliant idea because you, the consumer, get a decent case, and two, it saves up on all that plastic waste that you normally would have. So here we have it. Here's your Abxylute. Hopefully you ordered a white one because the white one is just stunning. It really is nice. I went over that in the previous video. So, first thing to be wary of, all Abxylutes come with a screen protector pre-applied. Now it's one of those plastic ones, it's not a tempered glass one. You can purchase the tempered glass screen protector from Abxylute, but what you'll have to do is remove that screen protector before you then fit that one. However, screen protector's pre-fitted, but you have to go through this process of peeling off the outer layer. Now, you can't just go at it, rip it off, and it'll be okay. It won't. This is actually quite well stuck to the screen protector itself. I have seen some people reporting online that when they've yanked it off, they've actually lifted the whole protector off. So just be careful. If you want to yank it off and fit a glass one, that's absolutely up to you. Now I'm just going to carefully, we'll see, try and lift this off. There we go. And that's the protector off. I've actually seen people trying to set them up with the protector applied. Just enjoy the product for what it is. Get that screen protector carefully pulled off and enjoy it. Now what I can see here is there's one little bubble there, a little seam there. That might settle down over time. You could get a card. Just be careful if you're getting rid of that though. So, I've left this charging up. And the reason I've done that is it's always better to set these devices up with a full battery, but also because I just haven't had time to set it up. So we're going to go through that today together. So first, press the power button for a few seconds. And it'll power on. Now setting these up is really simple. It's just an Android device. It'll boot up. First time boot up, it'll ask you for your Google Play username and password, or your email address and password. So if you've not got one of them, set that up. I think the good news is most people in the world have probably had an Android handset at some point. So first boot, or booting these up from cold, can take a while. Now you probably noticed that with most Android phones, they can take a while to boot up. So we're almost there already. What I will say at this early point in the video, the channel is very, very soon going to hit the 4,000 hour prerequisite watch hours for monetization. I'm a little bit short on membership. So this is just a little sell here from my point of view. I'm at 630 subscribers so far. My target's 1,000 for the monetization scheme. So 60% of you in some of these videos are not subscribed. So please just consider subscribing and we'll not come back to that again. Okay, here we are at the start. So it wants to set up. Now, you don't get a lot of languages. You do get a lot of languages, but English United States I think is the one you'll pick if you're in the UK. It's good enough though. Okay. Oh, there's actually English there. I take that back. You can change it to UK. So I'll be doing that. And click start. So you pick your region. We've already got that, United Kingdom, so just next. You pick your router. I'll blur this section out because you don't need to see my router name and stuff. And blur this bit as well. So you put in your passkey for your Wi-Fi. So and once it's connected, it'll start setting your device up by itself. Now this is just standard Android fare, so you can just wait here for a few minutes. Go make a cup of coffee or something. So next it's going to ask you if you want to copy apps and data. Now that's like when you're setting up a new mobile device, it will copy off your settings from your last one. We're going to say don't copy at this stage. And now you can sign in with your Google ID. So I'll blur this bit out, but I'll just log in just now. Okay, so that's me signed in. So if you had two-factor authentication, you would have to go through that process as well. So Who will be using this device? I'm just going to set it up saying I will be using the device, and next. So you then agree to the terms of service. Now, one thing I haven't done is put the micro SD in. And I would recommend, don't go too crazy with your micro SD card size. It'll take pretty much anything, but there's no point in doing like you would do on a Steam Deck and putting a 1 terabyte in. There just isn't enough games that you'll play. Okay, next part is you have to say how do you want the backup and storage. I'm going to turn off backup and storage, I'm not interested in that. I will use location. I will allow scanning. Not fussy about diagnostics. And I'll just accept that. Okay, so here you get terms of service from Abxylute. So you have to accept these. You could turn off the sending data bit if you want, but you do have to read the end user license agreement and privacy policy. I recommend you do. I've done this already. Then you'll get a thing from Tencent Games. Tencent have pretty much made the operating system for certainly the front end for this, and have worked quite closely, I believe, with Abxylute on designing this product. So I'm going to just turn off the diagnostic data for them, and I'm going to agree their agreements as well. You can set a pin at this stage. Now, some people have highlighted that they preferred the retail version of the Abxylute versus the non-retail version of the DVT units, because on the DVT units you had to put a pin in, and on the later ones you could just press a button. No, they're both the same. You can either set a pin number, or you can set no pin number, skip past that, and then you just get the long button press to get you logged in. I'm going to just set it to that. I don't need the lock screen just now. We will just skip this just now. You can reset this at a later stage. It's just an Android setting. So back to SD cards. In my case, I'm going to be fitting a 256 gig model. To be honest, I think that's overkill. My DVT2 unit has a 256 in it. I put on every emulated game I could think of that would work on it, whole platforms of games, and I used about 80 gigabytes only. But what I am going to do this time is, the one I've got in my DVT2 unit, I mounted it as a separate micro SD card so that it could be removable. On this one, I'm just going to consider it as extended or expanded storage so that I'll be able to install Android games directly onto the micro SD card. Right, so we're not going to bother changing font size. The font sizes in this are absolutely fantastic, and we'll just say no thank you to that stage. And here you go, you get a little welcome set up, tell you some stuff. And you can click the screen or you can push the button, it's up to you. And it's going to talk you through pressing various buttons if you want to go through that. It's just a nice little experience for people who've never actually had an Abxylute. Now, the customizable backlight for the ABXY buttons is fantastic. The earlier model, or the earlier operating system, allowed you to change on like a little jog wheel, a colour wheel, which was fantastic. They've now changed it to something like 12 colours or something you can pick from. It'd be great if they went back to having that option on that wheel, because I find it's a little bit restricted. This is good, so they're now letting you know that you really need to use the USB-A to USB-C cable that's provided. To be honest, some Type-C to Type-C cables do work. It's just the charging standard. You might plug them in and you might think it's not charging, you see it's not charging. Or perhaps I found one cable that would charge for about a second and disconnect, then reconnect and disconnect. That's not going to be good for the battery life of your device, so don't use cables like that. Personally, I like to use little cables that have the little screen on them that tell you how many watts you're drawing. Now, the minute you plug that in, you know if it's just not going to work. It'll just set it at 0 watts. The cable that comes with it is quite nice, quite good quality. I don't see it failing any time soon anyway. So you should be fine with that for a good while. And here we are, in the stock basic operating system. Now what you can do is you can go into settings and you can change the some of these. You can go to tablet mode here if you go into device information. Now I know a lot of people prefer the tablet feel because you get the full tablet experience and you can swipe down and swipe from the sides and all that kind of stuff, which frankly I think it feels a bit too basic in Android mode, so I just don't like Android mode, so I'm just going to stay in handheld mode. Anything you want to do you can pretty much do in handheld mode, I would say. You don't have quite as much, you don't have any touchscreen functionality really when you're in handheld mode. Oh, I didn't actually go in. So it'll ask you if you want to switch to handheld mode. I just leave it there all the time. I think the handheld mode that's on it, you can do a different launcher. This is just a launcher front end. You can do a different launcher. To be honest, I think this one actually suits the device quite nicely. But each to their own. People want to change things, and that's great. So in here you've got the Abxylute Essential. So this is just a little app they've created, a little web page or whatever, that has a number of recommended apps from them. Now, you will have to pay for some of these. So the Xbox Cloud Gaming app, that's totally fine. The Xbox app, that's fine as well. What I would say is the PSPlay. So this isn't the PlayStation Remote Play app. This is PSPlay, which is a paid-for app. There's also XBXplay, which is by the same people, I think. It's just very much the same layout. Very good app if you want to remote control your Xbox. So personally, I'm not going to use Steam Link because it is really, it's not as good as using Moonlight, which I'll recommend. It's not actually on this list. Oh, it is there, sorry. Moonlight's on. In fact, we'll just install Moonlight now. So Boosteroid, Shadow PC, GeForce Now, they're all cloud gaming setups. Amazon Luna's web-based, web page based. It's absolutely horrible. You might experience it, have better experience than me, but I've not had much joy with it. Moonlight, on the other hand, I find Moonlight to be very, very good. Now I've blanked out some of this, but I've left this bit here. Look, the Abxylute one, that's my DVT2 unit. It sees it as a phone, it's just an Android operating system. So what we can do, well that's downloading, is we can open this up. Now what I will say is, make sure you order a genuine micro SD card if you're going to have one. But really, the Abxylute doesn't need this at all. If you buy the 64 gig model, that's more than enough storage space to install some Android games. You could even install some emulators and emulated games in here, no problem. Still have more than enough space because you're replaying your games on your source PC, your Xbox, your PlayStation, or cloud gaming. So you really don't have a massive requirement for this. But I had this laying around. I got it on a cheap deal. I wouldn't spend too much. Like I say, a 128 gig would be more than sufficient. So you put this in the bottom of the device. And it'll only go in one way. You'll know pretty much straight away if you've got it right, because it'll just slide in now. If you put it the wrong way, it'll go in at a strange angle. Don't force it. Just take it out and fit it in the correct way. So in this case it's face up. Push it on with your fingernail and it'll pop in and it'll just be level. You can push it in and pop it out again, but what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to the main screen. So what should happen is it should mount that device, hopefully. If we go into settings, we go into storage, and as you can see here, 64 gig, but there's 53 gig available. We've used 15%. So if you go into Android settings, it'll just take you into the standard stock Android settings. So down here you can see storage. What we should see is use storage manager. And in here, let's see this device. You click on there, it'll say disk below it, and that is the micro SD card. So as you can see, it says it's corrupted. It's because it's never been set up. To use it, you have to set it up first. So we'll say set up. And in this case, so I used initially use for portable storage. That means you can eject it, you can plug it into another device, you can read it. And I did that because I put it in a little caddy and I plugged it into my PC and I've copied all my emulators across. I'm going to do a little bit different this time. So I'm going to use it as extra phone storage. So once you've fitted this, that's it. If you eject that and put it in another device, it's going to be unreadable. It's only going to be readable on this device. But I'm only going to be using it for emulated games, so that's fine. So we're going to use it as phone storage. And we'll let it format the SD card. Now that won't take long. Again, if you're on a budget, you've got an Abxylute, even if it's a 32 gig version, and you're on a budget, you don't have to have a micro SD card. You can remote control your cloud PC, your home PC, whatever, without needing to spend any further money. And you can get 128 gig cards very, very cheaply. Okay, so here you go, it's asking if you want to move content to the SD card. So, apps can be installed on the internal memory, or they can be installed on the SD card. You can move them backwards and forwards if you want. It really won't speed up the system anyway. It's just a different way to store your data. So we'll just say move content. It wants to move 229 kilobytes. We'll just let it do that. So there we have it. Now if we go in here, we go into storage, we can see that we've used 9.7 gig of the 64 gig total. That's the operating system. As you can see, system's taking up 5.4, apps is taking up 4.2. You can go in and look at the apps here. You could strip out some of the apps if it's stuff you're not interested in. You know, the Xbox app's already actually pre-installed. Really, there's not much in here. There's not much rubbish in here that you'd really want to get rid of, to be fair. And if we click here to go device, sorry, yep, this device, nope, SanDisk SD card even. We've used 3 gigabytes, mostly gone in formatting I suppose, on some system allocated space out of the 256. And if we press the home button, just to come out of there, get back to our main screen again. So basically we're set up. So as you can see here, we've got a row of large icons, and you can see that all apps, if you click in there, it'll list all the apps you have at the moment. And you have this icon here. So you can actually move some apps to duplicate along here. So we'll do that first with Moonlight. So we'll go in here, and we will find our Moonlight, which is there. So if we click the menu button, you can say add to quick start. So you click quick start, and it says added at the bottom. And if you go back to the main menu, you see it's been added at the bottom here. So I like to have some just stuff set up in quick start. So what we'll do now is we'll just do a quick scan for host PCs. It's found one PC. Now that's not the machine I'm going to use, that's the one I would normally use. So it's funny that's found that one, I wonder why the other one's not switched on. You would click on the, if you haven't set something up, you click on the little cog icon up here. You can check things like your video resolution. Defaults, the app defaults to 720p. This is a 1080p screen, so stick it to 1080p. If your wireless can cope with it, you may as well run 1080p. Video frame rate, I just leave this set to 60. If you were out and about and you were using your 4G connection, set it to 30 and maybe dropping down to 720p will use a lot less bandwidth and you'll get a better experience than if you were to run it at 1080p and 60 and you may have like stutters and corruption on screen. Now the video bitrate default is 20 megabits. I just leave it there. You could ram it all the way up to 150 even if you want, and it'll stutter like crazy because I've not got an internet connection or even a uncongested enough Wi-Fi connection to really make the most of that, so I just keep it down at 20. So what I would say though, if you're out and about you can drop that down. Now you can go all the way down to half there in fact, but I generally find it as long as about 5 plus you'll get a very good experience. So you can also set frame pacing. I just leave that at prefer lowest latency. Really don't change that. Stretch to full screen, I'll leave that turned off. I don't enable any of these other settings. Just leave it all stock. Doesn't need anything else changed. All these settings, you could just leave them stock. I haven't changed any of these. Now you can change your HEVC settings, but again, I just find just leaving it to automatic works fine. You can do things like say force full range video, but again, that can cause issues, so I just wouldn't bother. So if you want to add your PC, just click the plus icon, type the IP address of your machine in, and away you go. If you've got a static IP, that means you can play this outside of the home. If you have a non-static IP, you'll have to set the IP of your router and be prepared to go in and change it occasionally, or set up a DNS. Now I use a cheap, free-to-use DNS setup that you have to confirm it every month, but it's just a quick email. You click confirm, and I can just put in my DNS entry here, and it'll find my other PC. So I'll blur this out just now. And at that point, has now found my PC I wanted to connect to. And if I click on that, it'll tell me to enter a PIN on the target PC. Now your target PC has to be running Moonlight as well, or Sunshine if you have an AMD based machine. So I have an AMD based machine, so I'll load Sunshine. It's running all the time, in fact, on my console PC, and I would key that in. I'm not going to do it right at this moment, I just wanted to show you it for example. So other things you can add, obviously if you go into the Essentials app, you can do PSPlay. Now if you click on there, it'll take you to the Google Play Store and you will be able to purchase this app. This is a paid for app. If you don't want to use a paid for app, there's a few free apps on the Google Play Store. The official one, which is pretty bad. Some people found that they can only use touchscreen controls. I don't find it's very, very powerful, to be honest, so I don't use it. There's also a free one that I think has adverts. PSPlay, it costs, I think it's about $5. Absolutely worth it. If you've got a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, it's worth buying. On the standard PlayStation 4, I've got an original PlayStation 4, you can only stream at 720p, that's a limitation of the PlayStation itself. Other apps I would recommend are XBXplay. Again, that's a paid for app. It's by, as you see, the icon's basically same but green. Same people, I think. You can purchase that one too. That one again is about $5. Definitely worth buying. This one is a little bit more powerful than the PlayStation version in that I've got an original OG Xbox One, the great big fat one, and that only streams on the Xbox app at 720p. But with the XBXplay, you can change that to 1080, and I have seen no performance impact using that app. You can also install Netflix directly on this. Now you can go to the Play Store by clicking there. I came out of it, but just stay there. So you can load Netflix, Disney Plus. These are all available now. So you can install this. Now, I think the only issue, we'll install Netflix now, I think. The only issue is it's not got the correct widevine level to do HD, so it'll be running in standard definition, which, rightly so, some people have said that'll be terrible. It isn't actually terrible. It's a beautiful screen, this 1080p panel, and I don't know how they do it, but it just looks amazing. So we'll load it up. So it loads at 90 degrees. I think you can force apps to all load around the other way. I'm not going to do that just now. I actually prefer this setup for Netflix because once you're logged in, it gives you a really nice interface for scanning through apps or scanning through TV shows. If you click on the games tab at the bottom, you can scan through games. I think it's really nice. Really nice setup. Doing it that way. You can set it so it rotates the other way. I think there's a setting in Android that just says force all apps to show in landscape. I actually like the portrait setup, it really doesn't bother me. The one game I'm definitely going to install, if you can see here, everyone's got their own special game that they want to play. Mine is anything to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So if you click Get Game, it'll take you to the Play Store, and you get a Play Store version of the game. And then you can just install it from there. Now I've seen a lot of people asking what games can you play natively from Android, and the answer is quite a lot, but your results may vary. Games like Honkai Star Rail will run really poorly on this. They'll run, but they'll run really poorly. There really isn't any point in putting them on. Games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run like a dream. Absolutely run like a dream. Dead Cells will probably run quite well. Minecraft, I've tried Minecraft, that runs well as well. In fact, I think I might actually have Minecraft. We could test that. It runs really well. And here we go, the game is installed. So rather than click and play just now, I'm just going to go back to the home screen. And you can see it's installed here. And you can see it's got a little red end to show it's a Netflix game. We can open that up. Get a little Netflix intro bit there. Just to be expected. Now you'll be prompted to log in, just in case of tapping on your icon, and away you go. You've got the full fat game that you would have to pay money for on the Play Store. So if you already have Netflix, definitely worth taking advantage of this feature. There's some good games on there. Again, not all games are joypad enabled, but this game is. Oh, these feel nice and smooth, these sticks. I put a lot of hours into the DVT2 in it, and I think that feels good. This feels even smoother. Maybe it's because of the new caps. Feels brilliant. What's not to like? Just up to the D-pan now, so I'll test it. Yep, this feels great. So it's just come out there just now. Absolutely. I'm not sure any streaming on this one, and it's not going to be any different to my main DVT2 unit that I've had for several months. So if you want to watch some more content on the Abxylute, definitely worth going to watch any of my previous stuff. It all applies. I hope you've watched this video all the way through. Hope you've enjoyed it. Really, the only things I can see that are different are, you know, the embossing on the shell, which it's really nice to look at. It feels okay, don't really notice it. Speaker grill changes. The big thing I noticed was there's 12 grams difference in the weight of these devices. And when I first picked this up, I definitely felt something. I couldn't tell what, but there was definitely something a little bit different about the weight. And I guess it's to do with the buttons. They had some issues with some buttons. They've obviously strengthened things up a bit, and it's added a whole whopping 12 grams. Still light as anything. It's only about 300 grams all in, so it's definitely a brilliant purchase. As you can see here, here's my battery percentage just popped up as I showed earlier. So yeah, if you buy an Abxylute, I hope you love it. I've loved the DVT2 unit that I've had for the last few months. My son's loved it. My daughter's been itching to have a go in it, but we've been monopolising it, unfortunately. Now this one's arrived. This is going to be solely my unit, although I'm pretty sure my daughter will argue with that and get some use out of it too. My son and my daughter are going to share the black unit just now. I might even buy another, because it can do quite a lot, and it's a very nice light device. It's actually a good size for children to use. It's barely any bigger than a Switch. So I've actually compared it to some sizes. There's a video for that, which I'll link in a card. It's nice and light. It's got the smaller sticks, which are great for kids. I've had no issue with the sticks. So if you've not used these little sticks, they're different than using an Xbox or PlayStation controller. There's no denying that. They're definitely better sticks than you would get on a Nintendo Switch. I don't think there's much more for me to say, other than like, share and subscribe. Especially subscribe, because I need 1,000 subscribers. Because there's lots more stuff coming on the market, and if I want to buy any of that stuff, I'm going to have to try and find some alternative sources to raise funds. So your support and your continuing support really helps me, so thanks so much, everyone. Finally, big shout out to my single member. We've got to start somewhere. HyperPlay RPG. Thanks, mate. Trying to grow the channel as much as I can, so as I come up with new ideas and concepts, I'll add them to different membership packs that I've already created. I'm not looking to have any expensive ones. If you want to support the channel, maybe consider one of them. But really, if you really want to help the channel, just a subscription will really help me out. I really want to push the channel forward now. I want to look at lots of other devices. I've given a lot of time to the Abxylute, and I've really enjoyed it, and this has been my device of the year. Now, I've bought a few devices in the last 12 months, but this has been my device of the year. It's the lowest power device by far. It's got one of the best screens, if not the best screen of all the devices I've got, and I've got some okay ones. It's got serviceable controls. I found these Hall effect joysticks to be absolutely brilliant. I really think these are the future, Hall effect. Small sticks, but I haven't had any problems with them. All the other buttons, fantastic. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.